Heard about citizen's arrest, but not really sure what your powers are. When to use it, what to say. Well, we've got Sergeant Fran with us today to cover it all. Let's get into it. Okay, Sergeant, so citizen's arrest. What actually is it?
So citizens can make an arrest in the absence of a police officer in certain situations. So if a crime has been committed, it has been indictable or either way offence, so the more serious types of crimes. As I said, a police officer is not present, otherwise they would make the arrest. And it has to be at the time of the offence being committed or immediately afterwards. So a citizen's arrest power doesn't cover somebody who you think is about to commit an offence.
So what would the actual protocol be when making a citizen's arrest?
So you need to tell the person that they're under arrest, what for, and why. So there are 4 reasons why you may use a citizen's arrest. Number 1 is to prevent them from causing injury to themselves or somebody else, to prevent them from suffering a physical injury, to prevent them from causing loss or damage to property, or to prevent them from making off before the police come to deal with them.
Okay, so obviously if a security professional is thinking about making a citizen's arrest or is about to make a citizen's arrest, what should they have in the back of the mind? Be like, okay, this is the right way to do it. This is what the police are looking for.
So it's something that's nice and clear and something that's safe as well, because you're preventing that person from leaving. They may not want that to happen, but just be very clear in your communications, be firm and explain that the police have been called and will be coming to deal with them.
Yeah, I think the main thing as well is to tell them why it's happening.
Yep, absolutely. And then when the police will come, you explain to the officers what has happened, and then they will take things from there. They may review things and then see how you go from there. Yeah,
seen it a few times as well when people have made a citizen's arrest and they've kind of locked somebody in a room or something like that. Is that okay?
It's not recommended to leave them alone. What you should do is remain with them all the time so you can monitor them, make sure that they are safe and also that you are safe, that they're not doing anything dangerous. Just keep an eye on them and that they're supervised until the police come.
Yeah. And now there's a big difference between a citizen's arrest and a way a police officer would actually arrest someone. So let's start with the citizen's arrest. Let's go through a little demonstration of how someone would go about that.
So if I'm a security supervisor and I think that you have assaulted somebody in my club, because I have seen it, then I would say to you, sir, you've just hit that person. I think you're responsible for causing them an injury. The police are on their way, but I'm worried that you're going to leave, so I'm making a citizen's arrest. You need to stay with me now until the police come. And the reason for that is that I think that you've caused injury to that person, and I want to be sure that you stay here until the police come and deal with you.
And now if I was to resist or be like, no way, I'm out of here, what could you do?
You've got powers to use reasonable force then to detain that person there. So yeah, so you have to not put yourself at risk, but you can take reasonable steps to keep them there until the police come. It's going to be something more serious because otherwise you would not be exercising this power. It is quite unusual, but it does exist. It is there to be used if you need it.
Yeah, and you mentioned there reasonable force. Now reasonable force we have covered quite a lot. It's constantly throughout your security guard training. But in the eyes of the police, what is reasonable force?
The reasonable force it's got to be proportionate, it's got to be reasonable, you've got to be held accountable to it, and it has to be necessary. But the reasonableness test can be different for you or for me, and the circumstances will be different. So you and I may find ourselves in almost the same situation, but reasonable force for me is going to be a bit different. The threshold is going to be a bit higher because of my gender, my age, my stature, my physical capability, so that can change. The reasonableness test will then be decided whether it's proportionate or reasonable or not by the magistrates or the judge in a court of law.
Okay, so the main points there for a citizen's arrest is, firstly, call the police. Secondly, always be clear, tell them why you're doing it. And you can also use reasonable force, but it has to be proportionate.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a citizen's arrest. What's the main difference between that and a police officer arresting someone?
So a police officer can arrest for all offences, so even the lower level summary only offences, and we can also arrest for a crime that has not yet happened. So there is a load of different legislation that allows us to arrest for offences that are about to happen. We also have to give the police caution when we arrest somebody, to inform them what their rights are. It's quite important. And we also have a wider necessity test. So the reason why somebody's being arrested, so that can include what we've mentioned before about the citizen's arrest, but also we have for obstructing the highway, for example, or for a prompt and effective investigation by means of recorded interview or other ways of further investigating the offence.
Okay, and finally, going back to citizen's arrest, one question we do get asked quite a lot is male on male or female on female when it comes to arresting. So can a man do a citizen's arrest on a woman? Vice versa?
Yes, absolutely, you can. Your powers are not specific to your gender or the other person's gender or gender identity, but you do have to have certain considerations around what you do with that person. So thinking about how you position yourself, where you're going to put yourself. So for example, if you are a male and you have performed a citizen's arrest on a female, it would be wise to have a chaperone with you, at the very least have CCTV or body cam, just to make sure that you are kept safe and from any malicious allegations that may be made.
Well, thank you very much. Citizen's arrest it's quite a tricky topic to cover, so having someone with your knowledge and expertise is fantastic. Now, I hope you found this video useful, and please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more security skills videos.